Oh, now we're on the air. Hi. Okay. So, I'm Ryan Armstrong, and this is the third lecture in the weekly Y lecture series. So we have a guest tonight going to speak to us about habits and autopilot. So all of us live through patterns. That's how our life is dictated for the most part, and for a lot of people, we have no idea why we do the same things over and over. So he's going to speak about that. So what's important for everyone to know is that Jason's favorite ice cream is the Tonight Dough of Ben & Jerry's. So, very important. Okay, so here's a little bio. Jason has spent his year as a software developer, most recently as a smartphone app developer. His flagship app is MileBug, mileage log expense tracker, an app designed to help you track the miles you drive for business use, so you can get your tax deduction or reimbursement. Jason has always had varied interests that led him to a bachelor's degree in sociology with minors in math and physics, followed by a master's degree in computer science. He's also an independent business developer for the Strongbrook real estate investment company and is currently working towards launching a public speaking career. So we're very excited to have Jason here, and we'll invite him up. Thank you.
All right, we got the camera fixed there. Hi, everyone online. Good to see everyone here. It's nice to be here. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of the weekly WISE lecture series. And as Ryan mentioned, I am going to be talking about habits. But first, I want to start off by sharing a story about a man whose RV went off the road. Now, luckily, he survived, and the police were able to ask him what happened. So he says, well, I've been driving for several hours, and I was getting really hungry. So I set the RV on cruise control and went into the back to make myself a sandwich. And next thing I know, I'm going off the road. Well, this guy was under the erroneous impression that cruise control was the same as autopilot. Well, cruise control only controls one thing, and that's the speed. Everything else still requires attentive focus and paying attention and involvement. But let's compare that to an airline. So the plane is cruising at 30,000 feet in altitude. There's several hours till we reach our destination. And the pilot is able to turn on autopilot and actually exit the cockpit and wander through the cabin. And everything's good. So we want to be able to look at the things that are happening in our lives that are just running automatically. I'm not checking messages, I just have a few notes here to help myself through here. So where and what are we in this story? Are we the pilot? No, we're the airplane. So our conscious mind is the pilot, and our subconscious mind would be the autopilot, or the one that utilizes the autopilot. And so we need to then, so we let our mind wander the cabin, so to speak, while our pilot mind, or our subconscious mind, engages the autopilots and lets us still accomplish our tasks. So what happens if our autopilot isn't set right? The airplane, if the course and direction is set wrong, the autopilot is still going to take you there. And that's what our habit does. It still takes us there. It still gets us to where that habit is geared and designed to go, or makes us become who that habit is trained or designed to make us become. So where do these autopilots come from? How do we program our subconscious? Well, that's our habits. That's those repeated activities that we do that ingrain within our mind and our behavior patterns, these things that we're able to do over and over with little or no thought. Now, I said autopilots plural because obviously we have more than just one habit. Now, we have our professional life, we have our family life, we have our health, physical and mental, we have our social life, we have our spiritual life. Every aspect of our life can have and does have different habits that are playing a role and are taking us somewhere. And the question we ask ourselves is, where are our habits taking us? Now, we have to ask, are habits good or bad? Now, we often hear a lot more about bad habits than we do about good habits. You know, someone's like, oh, I have a bad habit biting my nails, or I have a bad habit, I always lose my keys, or she has a bad habit, or he has a bad habit. And we find that too, right? It's sometimes easier to point out someone else's bad habits than just to look at ourselves and find our own. But what about good habits? You don't really hear people talking about good habits. Oh, I have a good habit doing such and such. We usually just talk about being good at doing something. But there's still habits. Now, we lost visual here. Is it still running for, can everyone online still see me? Even though the computer went to sleep?
Yeah.
Maybe we're still good there. All right, great. All right. So the dictionary says a habit is a recurrent, often unconscious pattern of behavior that is acquired through frequent repetition. Or it's an acquired behavior pattern regularly followed until it has become involuntary. Okay? So habits are our autopilots, and whether they're good or bad depends on where they're taking us and whether we want to go there. So the same habit could be a good habit for one person, but a bad habit for another person, depending on whether they wanted to get there or not. Now, also, the same thing can be true for a single habit for one person. So the same habit for a person might be good or bad depending on when it's engaged. So, for instance, a detective, he may have this habit of being able, of always scanning the room and being attentive to everything that's going on in the room. Well, that can serve him well on a crime scene, but it may not serve him so well when he's out for an evening with his wife. Okay? So how much of a role do habits play in our lives? Okay, think about it for a minute. Think about your daily routine. What is it that you do? The alarm goes off. Maybe you slip to your knees for your morning prayers, you retreat to the bathroom, you hop in the shower. Even the whole pattern and process for showering and drying off is a habit. Then you prepare your food, you eat breakfast, you gather your things for the day, you come back, brush your teeth, you're out the door. That hour, sometimes for some people even that's 2 hours, every morning that is almost a 100% habit-driven. Think about that for a minute. We sleep 7 to 8 hours a night. So that leaves 16 plus hours a day that needs to be governed by conscious thought or by our habits. And if we start the day with 2 hours of almost pure habit, what does the rest of our day look like? Think through your day. Just take a moment right now. Think through your typical day. What kinds of things do you do on a repetitive basis, on a continual basis, things you hardly even think about anymore, but you just do them? And then you say, where are these things taking me? Do I want to go there? Do I know where I want to go? That's another big question. Okay, we can often have our lives so driven by all of our habits and routines, and we don't even know where it is we want to go. So is everyone familiar with the story of the Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland? Okay, so Alice is walking along, she comes to a fork in the road, and there, sitting in the tree in the middle of the two paths, is the Cheshire Cat. And she says, please, tell me which way I ought to go. And he says, well, that depends a great deal on where it is you want to go. And she says, well, it really doesn't matter where. And then he interrupts her and shares these enlightening words. habits, then it really doesn't matter which way you choose. If you don't know where it is you want to go, it doesn't matter which habit you choose, which activities, what types of autopilots you engage to drive and fly and pilot your life. So let's take a look at where we are now. And let's take a look back at our life and let's say, well, what habits have gotten us here? Because unless it's something that you only did once or twice, your current situation is defined by the habits that piloted you here. Right? Okay. So let's take a look. I'll open myself up here. Okay, I know it doesn't really look like it, but I could stand to lose a little weight. All right, maybe a lot of weight. Okay. Now, looking back, what got me here? Back in high school, I was actually a competitive swimmer. I was one of the captains of the men's swim team. I would swim 2 to 3 miles a day. We even had a swim-a-thon every year where we would raise money for the team, and the idea was that we would get people to pledge so many pennies per lap that we could swim in a 2-hour period, capped at 3 miles. I always swam the whole 3 miles. My senior year, I even came in second place right behind our best distance swimmer in 1 hour and 20 minutes, 3 miles. So what happened to get high school Jason to current day Jason? Okay? Well, I hit college. That didn't change too much. I was required to have PE classes, so I always took a swimming class because I enjoyed that. I took racquetball, I enjoyed that. Then I finished college and went into graduate school. Now suddenly gym classes weren't required anymore, and my schedule was more demanding. So here's where we start looking at the habits that started changing things. So suddenly I was in the habit of working late in the lab. I was getting a degree in computer science, so I was sitting on my duff at the computer all the time doing my work that allowed me to earn money, as well as doing my homework, my projects. I was sitting in class. I was in the habit of sitting all day long. And I wasn't going to gym, so I'd gotten out of the habit of exercise. Now, what about eating? Well, I'm working in the lab late into the night. Dinner became vending machines. Okay? Is everyone eating those luscious little pink frosted grandma sugar cookies? Yeah, okay. Those are dangerously delicious. I can probably attribute a good little piece right here to just those grandma's cookies. Okay? So I got in the habit of eating out of the vending machines. I gained 30 pounds in graduate school. Okay? Now, I can talk about, metabolism changes when you hit your mid-20s and all of that, but it was the habits that I was engaging in that really made that change an issue for me. Well, then, we fast forward a bit through my professional career, and another healthy amount of weight came on when I suffered from depression. Now, back in 2010, I started a software company with my college buddy. We got investors, we hired a developer, we hired a sales guy. We had a great time for about a year, and things started falling apart. And at about the 1.5 year mark, in August of 2011, we had to let everybody go. And my partner and I got into a bit of a falling out, and he left. And so it was only me running this company that was making very little, if any, money, and we had investors whose money we hadn't paid back. And even though I had spent much of my life doing entrepreneurial things and learning and being excited about each one, this one threw me worse than any other And I went into depression for about 2 to 2.5 years. In fact, it's only been a little over a year since I came out of that. And I came out of that, as we'll talk about here in just a little bit, through mentoring with Chris Crone. But during those 2 years plus, I would go to comfort food in those dark times. Now, is 2 years enough time to form a new habit? Yes. Oh my goodness, yes. So even after I came out of the depression, I have these new habits in place of going to ice cream and brownies and cookies and all of those, and hamburgers. Oh, hamburgers, I love hamburgers. Okay, and the fries and the shakes and all of that. Those habits, but thinking that says I have to have something to make me feel better physically in order to try to address something mentally. Those habits drove me here. So if we revisit the concept behind habits, they drive us, they move us, even when we're not even thinking about it. Now, I had a friend that I talked to, and we got talking about the whole concept about thought precedes the action. You've heard that phrase a lot. It's very popular. It's out there. And he disagreed with me on that. And he says, no, thought doesn't always. He says, when I want to watch a TV program, I just grab the remote and turn on the TV, and I didn't even think about it. I just did it. Well, perhaps in that specific instance, the thought didn't precede the action right then. But there was thought many, many times prior to picking up that remote. The multiple thoughts in a row preceded that action of picking up and using that remote to where it formed a habit. So thoughts are very important to us and to a forming of our habits. Now, we even have thought habits, right? When someone you know shares a success with you, how do you respond? Do you tend to respond with rejoicing and excitement for them? Or do you tend to find yourself thinking with jealousy? Or maybe you're irritated because maybe you feel like they're trying to showboat you? Okay? Our thought habits drive a lot as well. We have to control our thoughts, our words, and our actions. And there's habits in all three areas that we need to be aware of and to work on to say where it is we want to take our life. We talk to ourselves all day long, right? We do. What percentage of those things that we say to ourselves are actually positive and uplifting, are actually taking us where we want to go, versus how many times do we put ourselves down in a day? Oh, blast, I spilled myself. I'm such an idiot. Oh, I can never get this right. Why do I have to work with this person? I just don't know how to deal with him. What kind of thoughts are going on in our head? What kind of thought habits do we have? Well, I've actually been putting together a little bit of a new system for creating habits. Now, this is new. This is raw. I'm going to flesh it out a lot more over the next coming weeks and months. But this combines the philosophies and approaches of two different mentors that I've been able to work closely with, as well as a general philosophy. Now, the first one is a man by the name of Chris Crone. Now, those of you who are associated with Strongbrook are very familiar with Chris. He's the founder of Strongbrook. I had the great privilege and honor of mentoring with Chris for 6 months in a group setting. Now, this was at the time where I was in my depression. And about 3 months into this 6 months, my mind finally opened up. And hope and light came in, and it's as he'd been teaching me to think differently, to look at things differently, to process things differently. Now, the piece of his mentoring and his philosophy that I'm going to be incorporating into the new habit system is something that he calls belief breakthrough. Now, he takes this approach that each of us have a set of beliefs about ourselves, about the way the world works, about our profession, about each other, about God, that these beliefs are in error. That there's something we believe about ourselves that is holding us back and limiting us in our progression and in the things that we want to achieve. Maybe we don't believe that we are capable of standing in front of a group of people and sharing something new. That belief could be holding us back. Well, Chris takes the approach that we need to break through that limiting belief and replace it with a new one. And so that's what we're going to take with habits. We are going to actually look closely at the belief that we might be having that is driving the habit. Okay? Because we want to be able to either get rid of a current habit or we want to form a new habit. And either way, we need to change the way we think in order to change the way we act. So we're going to first start off by identifying the beliefs that we might have around this particular situation, the habit we're trying to get rid of or the habit we're trying to form. The next one is Ann Webb. Now, is anyone familiar with Ann Webb and her Ideal Life Vision program? Okay, fantastic. I had the great opportunity to spend a day with her and her life coaches about a month ago and go through her entire process of creating an ideal life vision. An ideal life vision, as Ann describes it, is something that you actually write out and you describe exactly what your ideal life is. Not would be, but actually is. You write it in the present tense. I am a successful public speaker. I have published a book. I have written X number of articles on these topics. I have a close and personal relationship with my spouse. We do these things together on a regular basis. I am working out every day. These are the kinds of foods that I eat. This is how I treat my body. This is what my body looks like. And it's all in the present tense, ideally what you have. And then the key to this also is that she has you read this into a microphone. You're actually recording your own voice, telling yourself what your ideal life vision is. Whose voice do we trust the most? We trust our own. We can be in a conversation with somebody, and they can be telling us something, or we might be sitting in a room listening to someone speak, and they're sharing something with us, but we're going to reinterpret that, and we're going to tell it to ourselves in a way that we believe it. And so we might say, oh, well, that would work for him, but not for me. Or, yeah, I think I could do that. Maybe not as well, but I could do some of that. Or, well, that's good for X, Y, and Z type of people, but not A, B, and C type of people. We always talk to ourselves. We filter. So we want to be able to tell ourselves in our most trusted voice that we are something good, that we are something accomplished, that we are doing the things that we want to be doing, that our life is our ideal life. So as we record this, she actually has you put Baroque music behind it. It's apparently something with alpha waves syncing with your brain and getting deeper into your neural complex. And I'll let you read and hear that part from her. But then you play this recording for yourself every day. And you hear that most trusted voice every day telling you that you are these things, that you have these things, that you do these things. How does that apply to habits? Very clearly, we are doing something new. We all heard the thing 21 days to form a new habit, right? Okay, well, is that 21 days accomplished by sheer willpower? I mean, once it is a habit, then it operates rather smoothly and it just sort of flows automatically. But until it's a habit, that takes a lot of effort. We have to apply ourselves. We have to think consciously. We have to remind ourselves to do it. We have to get our motivation up. Well, what if we can make those 21 days a lot easier, a lot smoother? So we identify the beliefs that are driving that new habit, and we describe what that new habit is and record it in our own voice, and each day play that back to us so that we are now hearing in our most trusted voice that we are doing the things that address these limiting beliefs and that turn them around and that change our behaviors. And now we add the third component. And this is the concept called visualization. So let's say that your new habit you're wanting to form is that you get up each morning and go to the gym. Okay, that's what I need to start on. Well, every night I'm gonna visualize what I'm doing the next morning. I'm gonna visualize getting out of bed, getting my gym clothes or my gym bag that maybe I've already prepared it the night before, but I'm gonna actually picture myself getting out the door, getting into the car, driving to the gym, getting out, actually doing the exercises or the swimming or the stretches or the running, whatever it is I've chosen to do. I'm going to picture that. I'm going to visualize myself doing it. And then coming back home. Visualize the night before. And our mind gets set and ready to do that. So we're eliminating the beliefs that have been holding us back. We're hearing our most trusted voice tell us that we're already doing it. And then we visualize actually doing it. What power that can have in giving us that ability to make those changes in our behavior or in our thoughts or in the way we talk. I want to be able to put together a study group or a case study to be able to test this theory out of mine. I believe this is real, and I believe that this will work. It's either going to make those 21 days easier and or maybe even shorten the 21 days. Wouldn't that be amazing if we could form a new habit in 15 days instead of 21? Or 10? I think that's possible. So here's what I'd like to do. Any of you that would like to be able to participate with me in this case study, please contact me. You can reach me at my email address, jason.izatt@gmail.com. Okay? Let me know you want to participate in this. Now, since you've heard the program, you wouldn't be part of the control group, but we'd get you actually working on forming a new habit and testing out this. So let me know, contact me, we'll get you involved, and we'll make this happen. I'm so excited for the opportunities we have from so many people to learn from their life experiences of how we can change and improve our lives. And what I have loved as I've prepared for tonight is this realization that habits truly are flexible. There's something that we can change, something we can replace. And it's our opportunity in our lives on a regular basis to take stock of what habits are running in our lives and say, is this the right set of habits? Where is each habit getting me in each facet of my life? Professional, spiritual, family, health. And we have the opportunity to swap them out for new ones. Maybe just refine and expand one. Or maybe we have a good set, but we might be missing some. So we add a few more. And then, whatever it is we're trying to do becomes easier. And our progress becomes faster. And we can become and go what and where we want to become and where we want to go.
So to clarify, exhibit is the contest or
case study
is to develop what you want, the habit you're trying to create, and then each day you add a little bit more to it. Did I understand that right? You add a new aspect, a new dimension of it.
No, we're trying to test the theory of creating a new habit in the same 21 days, but using this new approach, we want to test the theory that we can either create the habit in shorter time or that it's easier to do. So each participant in the study will choose a new habit that they want to create. And then they will identify the limiting beliefs that have kept them back from having that before. We will identify in detail what the new habit will be, and they can record in their own voice what it is that habit is, and then they will listen to that every day. And then every day at some time period prior to when they're supposed to be doing it, or just on a regular basis, they're going to actually visualize themselves doing that. So we're going to test and see if that's really true. Does that make it forming habits easier and better? Any other questions? I sure enjoyed being here tonight. Thank you very much. Hope to see many of you that are online here in person someday. And with that, we'll say good night.
All right. Thank you very much, Jason, for your time here. So there are a lot of interesting points to think about. So I wanted to say that for my part, I remember when I first met Jason was through Strongbrook, and I remember him at the Conscious Creator Live event, which is a 3-day belief transformation event that they do. So I remember Jason owning his greatness. So Chris Crone mentioned earlier, had him stand on a chair. I think he was holding an arrow, wasn't it? You had an arrow on your throat or something like that.
Could be.
Something, and Chris made him. He made him stay up there. Well, didn't make him. He invited him
Right.
to stay there and own his greatness, and it was a cool experience. I was glad to have witnessed it. So I'm very grateful for Jason's comments. I'm grateful for this lecture series. Just a reminder, what our goal here is it is sponsored by our business Strongbrook, but overall we want to have people's wisdom, all sorts of different people from different backgrounds to come in. So we want to invite more and more people who may or may not be a part of Strongbrook, have even ever heard of it, to share the wisdom. We want a group together where all of us are enlightened together, and that's what we're trying to accomplish. So, and to share our love of ice cream. So, okay, I want to tell everyone a little bit about Strongbrook. Their foundation, their main mission is to empower people to, like we said, own their greatness, to take their situation and get themselves on a path to freedom, financial freedom, and also emotional freedom, mental freedom, social freedom, all of those. So there are 3 pillars that are used to accomplish this mission. The first one is facilitated real estate, and how that works is that the investor, they're mainly looking for investors. The investor will come in and they'll pay a fee to start working with Strongbrook, and then Strongbrook will have all of the people involved in real estate lined up one by one. They have the inspectors, the appraisers, the real estate agents, the loan brokers. All of those people are under one roof, and they work directly with each other. And so a person who comes in and invests will have those services to go through, and the Strongbrook. So this started with Chris Crone and his investment strategies were very, very narrow, very, very specific. There's a very small parameters of investments that they're willing to consider, and because of that, they've done hundreds, thousands of deals, and all of that has made it so real estate is now been commoditized as much as possible. I mean, there's so many wide varieties of different properties that are available, and different ways to acquire them, different strategies. and they've narrowed it down to this one niche that has proven over and over again to consistently be able to survive whatever market trends happen, because they have a wide base, wide foundation that it's built on. And the goal is to provide service, provide people who have who are in need of housing, who have had setbacks, and so those people are screened through the Stromberg service. Do you have any houses with them, Jason?
Not yet.
Okay, so I don't either. Matt and Bonnie do, and so they screen the people. They make sure that they're a good fit for the services, and that's how the company started. And so the most basic way to start with them is so $500 down and then $99 a month. We'll get you a coach. We'll get you the basic education of what it is that they're doing, and then you can go from there. So we currently are working on closing on a house in North Ogden. We've done it with Stromberg professionals, so it's going really well. And we anticipate that we'll be able to close on this house probably mid-June. So that's pretty good. So that's the first pillar, everybody. We'll talk about the second pillar, which is business ownership. Now, many people are afraid of owning their own business, of entrepreneurship. The basic philosophy, as I understand it, is that you decide what you're worth. You decide that you're able to go make up opportunities and to create your wealth on your own without having to rely on someone else to determine how much you should get paid, to determine anything like that. And so that Stromberg offers that for people who want to share the message and want to build a business, but they don't want it to start from the ground up. They want to take something that's already a structure that's already in place and make their business, make their unique, specific niche. And that's what we're doing with these weekly whys. We found, what do we really care about the most? What impact do we have to offer? And this is it. So then the third pillar, which is what I care most about, but business ownership. You can get started for $19 a month, right? That's if you have a PSA. The basic, you can start for $500 down and $99 a month to build your business with Stromberg. So we're doing that. We're also doing the real estate program. And the one that I care a lot more about than any of those is the mentoring. The mentoring helps people to, as Jason said, to examine where is our autopilot taking us. For most of us, we just don't even know that there is a plane that's on autopilot. We just wonder, why is my life the way it is? Why don't I have more opportunities that I like? Why don't I get along with my wife better than I do? Most people just go through believing that other people or other situations are acting on them and determining how their life's going to be, determining their happiness, and that is so disempowering. We take an approach in mentoring that we are the pilot of our own lives, and we learn how, over time, to take the controls, to reprogram that autopilot the way we want it to be. And it's important to know that it's what we want, because many people you have that impress on you that you should want this, you should feel this way, you should care about this. Most of these people, and a lot of people go out trying to want things that they've never thought about, they've never truly meditated on. Is this what I want for me? Yes, this is what my father told me I should want, or this is what society says is important. But is that right for me? Is that what I want for myself? So we want to take ownership of that, of what we want and where we're going. And there's been a whole assembly of mentors that have come together. So the basic idea of a mentor is someone who you can identify by your standards is successful. Someone that you decide is living in a way that you want to live, has accomplished something you want to accomplish. It has a way of life that you want to have. And then once that person meets those qualifications, then you go seek out their program, see what they have to say. Like Jason's done, like we've both done with Chris Crone and the Conscious Creator. He's done with Ann Webb and Ideal Life Vision. And there's some other people that you just simply identify that person has something I want, and they can help me get it. So that is what the mentoring network is all about on the surface. But what's really exciting about it, what the true value that I see, is that you come in with a group of people all united in this quest for personal greatness. Now, we believe that our lives can be amazing, spectacular, not just good and adequate, but deeply rewarding, satisfying. And we're just set on that. We just keep striving for that, and talking to people who have made tremendous progress in those areas, who truly play at life. That's what I want to do. I want to have fun with my life. Now that I realize that it's possible for me, I'm not content with any other idea or suggestion. I'm focused. Life can be fun, exciting, fulfilling, rewarding. That's the only life I'm willing to live. So if that resonates with you, if any of those three resonate with you, then contact us, and we'll help you to realize what it is that you want and how best for you to get there. The basic thing to be a member of the Conscious Creator Mentoring Network is $99 a month. And if you want to share the message and build a business with that as well, it's $500 and then $99 a month. So with that, we're going to see, is there any other questions?
I want to mention the 3 and 3.
Yes. So if you are able to get the 3 people underneath you who are paying the $99 a month, then your subscription is waived. So how much are you worth? How much are you willing to invest in yourself, to invest in your greatness? Once you're able to answer that question, if you're able to put amount of time or price tag on that, then you're in a position to act on that. So that's what we want to say. If any of that resonates with you, we would invite you to contact us either through this YouTube channel, or come to the Facebook page, Weekly Wise Lecture Series. The Facebook page is Weekly Wise, WHYS Lecture Series. So with that, we're going to offer you some Tonight dough. All right? Okay. So if you want the ice cream for real, come in person, okay? All right. There you go. We got lots more where this came from. And are there any other questions or thoughts or comments? Ready? Okay. That concludes. Thank you for joining us.